The ultimate purpose of elevation is that through her should be a drawing down. The says in order that since the tachlas hakavana of the shel ha'lo ishati al yodam shocha, the purpose of elevation is there should be drawing down, because this is the purpose of this world, that everything should be relating to world, drawing down to world. So therefore there's a need, there should be vessels to receive this hamshocha, this drawing down. Because if the drawing down in this physical world would have been a revelation without vessels, there wouldn't be any caption, it wouldn't be able to capture it and remain in this physical world. We need a vessel with which it remains in the physical world, which this is similar, as Chassidus brings, a flame and a wick. In order that the flame should exist in this physical world, we need a wick that should contain it. Because in addition to the fact that you need the vessel, it is also that the fire itself or the revelation has the opposite nature. What is the opposite nature? Wants to be connected with their source. The same way that Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, that the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that a flame has a nature to go up because it wants to connect with the foundation of the element of fire which is under the moon. So therefore, it has a nature of always going up higher. Therefore, how is it that it could be held down? Is v'dafka yidesha mamshichem eison bekelim. B'shas they are drawn down in kelim, in vessels. Oz ha'amshocha yesh lo kiyum. Then the amshocha, the drawing down, has a kiyum, has it remains existing. So b'meila, in other words, the amshocha is not just then an amshocha that it's not accomplishing anything, but the drawing down is something that remains solid, that it remains permanently because it has a vessel I want to catch onto.
Isn't that another word for gravity? The vessels?
It's a union of gravity, that it keeps it down, yeah. It grounds it. Okay, now the Rebbe is going to discuss, to explain the business with the demons. So now the Rebbe says, the same way that we have in Kedusha, in sanctity, the same way we have it also in the opposite. That in the same way that in Kedusha, there is a union of Amshacha drawing down. And what kind of drawing down is it? That if, for example, it's Gvuras without vessels, it doesn't remain. There's nothing that remains from this drawing down. And V'yesh P'chinas Amshacha, and there's also Amshacha drawing down, the Gvura P'chinas Eiris B'Kelim. There is also Amshacha of Gvura, which is Eiris B'Kelim, Shaz Yesh Lakiyum. There is a union of bringing down the revelations in the vessels. Which is, why is the Rebbe saying the word Gvura? Because this is a Gvura for the purpose of Hamshacha, of drawing down. It's not just a Gvura, a removal. Gvura means removal of the revelation, removal of the energy. That it goes up, it goes up Maila. But we say over here, Gvura, in a way that it remains in a vessel. So in the same sense that we have in Kedusha, we have something in Kedusha that's without vessels, and we have it drawing down in Kedusha, in sanctity, in sacred matters, in the sacred part of the chain of creation that does have a solid, remains solidly in a physical sense. The same is also reflected in the negative elements, in the impure elements. How does it come that from sacred matters it should come down in impure? So the Rebbe says there's a whole chain of events. There's tzimtzumim, contractions, that are actually limiting the revelation, the sacred revelation. Then there's mesachim. Mesachim are considered walls or curtains, or parsois. There's different kind of parsois. There's different kind of limitations. Parsois is like something which is a boundary, a block. A curtain. Mesachim is more a curtain.
So Mechassim a cover?
Mesachim is a union of a Masach is a curtain. parsois could be from something which is not even, a parsois could be, for example, I think like Chassidus explains that there's a parsa between Keser, the attribute of Keser, and the attribute and the world of Atzilus. Says, what is it? It's like stones that do not have a sequence.
Parsa is like a distance.
What?
Parsa
is a distance, but we're talking Chassidus. Parsa is a blockade. Parsa is something that makes a gap between two things. So Chassidus explains what is parsa. An example for parsa means avonim bilti mesudoris, stones that are not organized. What are stones? Stone is compared to words. Letters are compared to stones. When you have words written out sensibly, logically, you can understand what it says. If you have words that are scrabble, you don't see the light and logic of it. So the same thing is also Chassidus explains. In order that from the attribute of Keser, it should reach the world of Atzilus, you needed a parsa which is not a very strong contraction, not a strong limitation, but you needed something that should make a certain blockage in order that the whole revelation should not come out in a clear way or in a logical way. So therefore this is called avonim bilti mesudoris. That's the mashal for the tzimtzum between Keser and Atzilus. So therefore this is parsa, an example for parsa. There's also parsa in Malchus Atzilus. In the attribute of Malchus, which is the lowest level of Atzilus, there's also parsa, but that parsa is compared to a curtain already. And what is the curtain? A curtain is a light that goes through. A curtain is not the original qualitative light from before the curtain, because the curtain dims it in a certain sense. And a Lashon Chassidus is called Eir Shel Tulda, a secondary light. It's a light of light.
Also what?
Shel Tulda. Tulda. It's like a secondary light.
Isn't every parsa known for Tulda?
A parsa could also be used for avonim bilti mesudoris. It depends where the tzimtzum is. I mean, the Rebbe is saying generally, mesochem or parsois. A mosach is a curtain. Parsois is stones. Amol malchus, amol the tzimtzum, contraction after the the attribute of malchus, royalty, is referred to as parsa. Chassidus explains that it's considered like a shoe that covers up on the foot and covers up on the royal and malchus, and therefore when it comes Shabbos, we say Ritzei v'achalitzenu. What is the union of achalitzenu? That in general the hashpah, the flow of energy and godliness, revelation that comes from malchus, the attribute of malchus, into the lower world of bria and yitzir asiyah, is usually a whole week. It goes through a certain contraction, a certain blockage. Shabbos, this levush, this garment, which is compared to a nal, a shoe, is taken off. It's called chlitza. So that's why we say Shabbos, ritzei v'hachalitzenu. Remove that blockage because we want to have a revelation from a higher quality. And that we say on Shabbos because Shabbos, the hashpah from Malchus comes on a higher level.
Ritzei means what?
Ritzei means you should be pleased. Lashon ratzon. Hachalitzenu is lashon chalitza, removing the shoe. This is how the Tzemach Tzedek explains it in the mitzvah of, in Parsha Kisei, it's in the mitzvah of Chlitza. He explains Ritzei v'achalitzenu. Sometimes we say in Yonim and Davening and benching, we have no idea. Ritzei v'achalitzenu. Yom Tov we say v'hasiyenu Hashem Elokeinu. It's a different thing. In the Siyas Panim, we see the Eibush, there is Sholosh Regolim. So we visualize godliness in the Beis HaMikdash. So it's on a different level. But it comes to Yom Shabbos, our aim is that Malchus should not have that cover.
Rebbe brings out in the Sikha a fascinating thing that many words in Hebrew that are used, like Polish, where are used with such an unusual grammatical form that it's actually alluding to things you would never think of.
Right.
It's not the usual way you would say it.
Right, there's remozim and everything. I mean, especially benching was set up by the Chacham. I mean, first Moshe Rabbeinu, then David and Shleim, then Yeshua, then David and Shleim, the three brachas. Then came Ateva Meitiv, which is connected with Chamisha Asa B'Av. These are all. Everything is counted and measured. I mean, you look in Al Anisim, for example, how many words there are. You look in Sharakela, it says exactly the amount of words, 124. And then he says, Gematria Yechanan. And then he says, Mitzar his modesty, he added another word, it should be Gematria Keanim.